Hi everyone, it's Vicki. Welcome to my channel. And today, Venus and Mars went to the movies. And then afterwards we had to run to the grocery store. And if I look disheveled, it's because it was raining cats and dogs when we came out of that movie in the afternoon. So on Monday, we saw Fool's Paradise. And I'll show you a little thing about that here. And then today, Friday, we saw The Machine. And I'll just show you a little picture of that here. And both are comedies. I wasn't sure if Fool's Paradise was a comedy at first. You know, I mean, I kind of thought it was from reading about it, and I'll tell you what it says about it right now. Well, as it turns out, Fool's Paradise isn't in the app anymore. I don't know what's going on there. But what I remember the app saying is that there's a actor who refuses to come out of his trailer, and they accidentally find a doppelganger for him, and they put that guy in the movie, and he becomes famous. And that's what the movie is about. It's a comedy. It is a little different, though. It's for lack of a better word, and maybe this is the right word, I might have actually picked the right word, but it seems like it's like a stylized kind of movie, I think is the word that people say, a stylistic feel to it, kind of a older Hollywood feel to it. It's unique. It's a unique movie in the way that it looks and feels. Has a lot of good actors in it, like what's that guy's name? Brody. Is it Andrew Brody? And John Malkovich. It's got a good cast, and they have some good acting, although some of the characters are a little over the top. The guy who was a dentist before he got a role in The Hangover, I think that was his first movie, that guy who, did he play, I think his character's name was Chow in The Hangover. Anyway, he's in it, and his acting's a little over the top, but boy, the energy he exudes, I would say that this is not the greatest movie. But it was funny, and Jerry laughed more than I did, which surprised me. But it misses the mark a little. It's hard to say how, but it does a little. But I did appreciate that it's a very clean film. There's no sexual humor, no cuss words. So if you're a person who tends not to go to the movies because of that, if that puts you off, this movie doesn't have any of that. Or if it did, it went right over my head. I didn't hear it. I'm not as bothered by that as I am violence, so I guess I could have missed it, but I don't think there was anything like that in there. But it's interesting because the guy that is the doppelganger for the actor is mute. And I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of like Marcel Marceau and that Mel Brooks movie, silent movie. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm not going to tell you any more about it. It's not, what it reminds me of? The movie it reminds me of actually was it called The Nerd? With Steve Martin, where he was a nobody, because I remember he was so excited to see his name in the phone book, and how he gets a raise to fame and falls back, and it reminds me of that, but in a completely different movie, but just that kind of thing. So I probably have said too much, but anyway, one of the things I did love in that movie, though, there's a woman, a main character in the movie, and I'm not going to tell you what her character is because I don't want to give that away. But anyway, they go to like a premiere, I think it is. Anyway, this red dress she's wearing, the whole movie was worth seeing that dress. That was awesome dress. Just about. But anyway, yeah, could I recommend this movie? I can't really recommend it, only because I don't think that it would be a popular movie with the average person. I think people are looking for something a little different. Would I tell you to stay away from it? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I'm not going to say to someone, oh, you got to see this movie, because I don't know how many people are going to appreciate this movie, honestly. Acting is good, like I said, but it's a little off. It's a little different, and I don't know. And I'm not sure about the ending and the whole it just didn't seem like it was over when it was over, but it was. All right, so the second movie we saw, I think will be in here. Let me pull my thing up. I think it will be in here because it came out today, so it better still be in here, yes. And I'll tell you what it says. It is called The Machine, and does star Mark Hamill in it, so that was kind of interesting to see him. It says, set 23 years after the original story which inspired it, The Machine finds Bert facing a family crisis, the lights are in my eyes, and the arrival of his estranged father. When the ghost of his booze-soaked past arrives, a murderous mobster hell-bent on kidnapping Bert back to the motherland to atone for his crimes. Together, he and his father must retrace the steps of his younger self in the midst of a war between a psychopathic crime family while they attempt to find common ground. So, yeah. So that's, in a nutshell, what it's about. He's a comedian who made fame and fortune, it appears, telling a story about in his youth when he went to Russia on a class trip, and he did all these things. I'm not going to tell you all they are, but anyway, they came back to bite him, and when he got famous and he went viral, then these Russian people who were looking for some of the things that were associated with his shenanigans in Russia. When they were looking for that and they saw him, they went and got him. They took him on a plane back. They pretty much kidnapped him. And in the meantime, his dad came with him, who they don't have a good relationship. His relationship is estranged with his family anyway. And I'm not going to tell you all those reasons why. But anyway, so it's a caper. It's a real caper. And you're going to have to suspend your disbelief on quite a bit of it. But, yeah, you're going to have to, there is some violence, but it's sort of comedic violence. It's not like I asked Jerry about that, and he said, well, it did have a lot of body count. Yeah, it had a lot of body count, but it was like, there's violence, and then there's violence. And I don't, like violence in movies so much, but I could stand this one because it was more from a comedic standpoint. Like, I'll just tell you this one part. Like, one part, some guy's throat gets punched just as he, or cut just as he goes to punch him, and his hand goes into his throat. I mean, in some movies that would be gross. In this movie, the way it's done, it was hysterical, believe it or not. So, anyway. But we both liked it, and there's a scene on a table where he's trying to help someone that you don't just laugh. I mean, everybody in the theater is laughing, but you don't just laugh. You just keep laughing. It's one of those where you can't quit laughing. And plus it goes on for a minute. But anyway, it was a very funny movie. I would. Do I recommend it? Yeah, as long as you don't mind the violence and some, silliness and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was worth seeing. I did. I don't regret seeing it at all. Definitely give it a thumbs up. And so did Jerry. On The Fool's Paradise, Jerry, I didn't talk about what he said on that much. He laughed. When it was over, he kind of looked at me like, why'd you bring me this movie or something is what he said. I go, what, you laughed? He goes, well, yeah, it was funny. So I don't know. I don't think we can give a thumbs up or down, either one of us, on The Fool's Paradise. But definitely a thumbs up on The Machine. I thought it was funny. They do a lot of, the beginning of the movies, a lot of backup to get you where you are. And they do it quickly so that you don't just lose interest. Because sometimes when they're setting the stage, they can kind of lose you. But they do a pretty good job at that. So anyway, yeah. So for this week, those are the two movies we saw. One is, I wouldn't rush to the movie to see either one of those, like you have to see it. But I would think that if someone's says you want to go to The Machine, go for it. I think it's pretty funny. So there you go. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching the channel. Come back again.